The Battle of Longewala was one of the major engagements in the western sector during Indo-Pakistan War of 1971, fought between assaulting Pakistani forces and Indian defenders at the Indian border post of Longewala in the Thar Desert of Rajasthan state in India. On the night of the 4th December 1971, Veer's platoon conducting a patrol heard noises across the border, and it was evident that a large number of armored vehicles approaching towards India was seen. A company of the Indian Army's 23rd Battalion, Punjab Regiment, commanded by Major Kuldip Chandpuri, got in touch with the battalion headquarters requesting urgent reinforcement, armored artillery support. Battalion headquarters gave him the choice of staying put and containing the attack as much as possible, or carrying out a tactical retreat of the company, as the reinforcements would not be available for at least 6 hours. Major Kuldip Chandpuri was left with the choice of either attempting to hold out until reinforced or fleeing on foot from the mechanized infantry Pakistan forces. Chooses the former, Chandpuri ensured that all his assets were correctly deployed and made the most use of his strong defensive position and weaknesses created by errors in enemy tactics. The Pakistani forces began their attack at 12:30 am. Major Kuldip Chandpuri was fortunate in that an Indian Airforce forward air controller was able to secure and direct aircraft in support of the post defense until reinforcements arrived 6 hours later. Throughout the engagement, Major Chandpuri continued to direct the supporting artillery fire. Although massively outnumbering the Indian defenders and having surrounded them, the Pakistani troops were unable to advance over open terrain on a full moon night, under small arms and mortar fire from the outpost. This encouraged the Indians not to give up their strong defensive position, frustrating the Pakistani commanders. As dawn arrived, the Pakistani forces had still not taken the post and were now having to do so in full daylight. In an attempt to capture the Longewala post, Pakistani commanders made several questionable decisions, including a failure of their strategic intelligence to foresee availability of Indian strike aircraft in the Longewala area, exercising operational mobility with little or no route reconnaissance, and conducting a tactical frontal assault with no engineer reconnaissance. As a result, Pakistani troops being left extremely vulnerable to airstrike and their tanks and trucks baffled in terrain. The confusion in the Pakistani troops was such that their tanks could not find way to run away from the battlefield, and that is visible from the track marks on the ground. With daylight, however, the IAF was able to operate effectively, with the strike aircraft being guided to the targets by the Airborne Forward Air Controller FSE Major Atma Singh in the Hull Krishak. The Indian aircraft attacked the Pakistani ground troops with the 16 Mantra T-10 rockets and 30 mm cannon fire on each aircraft. In the morning, the Indian Air Force was finally able to direct some HF-24 Maruts and Hawker Hunter aircraft to assist the post. They were not outfitted with night vision equipment and so were delayed from conducting combat missions until dawn. With daylight, however, the IAF was able to operate effectively, with the strike aircraft being guided to the targets by the Airborne Forward Air Controller Major Atma Singh in a Hull Krishak. The Indian aircraft attacked the Pakistani ground troops with the 16 Matra T-10 rockets and 30 mm cannon fire on each aircraft. The Indian company commander, Major, later Brigadier, Kuldip Chandpuri was decorated with India's second highest gallantry award, the Mahavir Chakra. Several other awards were earned by members of the defending company and the battalion's commander. On the other hand, the Pakistani divisional commander was dismissed from the service. Every war that Pakistan has initiated against India since independence, Pakistan has always been defeated, and not only defeated, but very badly defeated. India has showed their big heart when during the 1971 war to support Bangladesh, then East Pakistan, to be relieved from the inhuman behavior by Pakistan and its military. 90,000 Pakistan soldiers who surrendered were given absolute human rights treatment and sent to Pakistan with safety, or otherwise Mukti Wahini of Bangladesh were desperate to kill them. The British media reported the defense of Longewala. James Hatter compared the Battle of Longewala as to Battle of Thermopylae in his article Taking on the Enemy at Longewala, describing it as the deciding moment of the 1971 war. Similarly, Field Marshal R.M. Carver, the British Chief of the Imperial General Staff, visited Longewala a few weeks after the war to learn the details of the battle from Major Chandpuri.